And we are live. Let's go. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. We're just going to jump right into it as we always do. We never mess around. We got some things in the NBA to talk about. We're going to break down a few games. We are going to just briefly touch over the MLB and NFL. But of course, going right into it, who's not dead? The Knicks are not dead, sir. I know that this show was heavily reliant on that win last night. So let's just jump right into it and handle it to our New York Knicks analyst, Mr. TJ Sonatas. Go right ahead,
Yeah,
sir.
I mean, honestly, great game. Wasn't looking good early on. Knicks kept on fighting. Basketball's crazy. I really give. Okay, hold on. I keep on forgetting we're only doing one show a week now. Let's bounce back to game one, right?
All right, game one.
Halliburton, the Pacers.
Yeah, sure.
Every expert saying it. Luckiest bounce in NBA history to go down 1-0. I don't want to hear the Kawhi Leonard. I don't want to hear anything else about it. Halliburton bricked a shot to win the game. Absolutely bricked it. Didn't go in and out. Hits the right side of the
rim. It sent it to OT. His foot was on the line. It could have been a game winner. So in that way, it was unfortunate.
Oh, I thought
it
was over when he made it. Yeah, I thought it was over when he made it, Buff. You're right. And then I see the score, 125. I'm like, huh? And then I figured if the score did that his foot was on the line. And for a ref to be right on that, kudos to him, But the way he bricked that shot and it goes straight up. And then he gives the choke sign.
All right. This is exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. So he does the choke sign. What is it? Homage to Reggie Miller.
Yeah, okay. Set it up.
You don't think so? Everybody keeps talking about during the whole series how Halliburton is so plugged in with the Knicks Pacers history, and he's just really into the storyline, and he's really just enveloping it and living it and channeling. Like, is that true? Do you think it was just like a moment? Like, I don't know. I thought it was. Sure, you know about the Knicks Pacers series. You're doing a choke sign. You didn't win the game. Now, maybe he thought he did win, and that's why he did it. Right. But I thought it was a little premature because then they went to OT, Kevin. And thank God they won the game, because if not, then you look like a fool doing a choke sign that was just sending a game to OT.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to Thomas. Yeah, he took away that cowboy hat, but don't worry, it will be back. But no, listen, that choke sign, I threw my hat like as far as I could throw it. I'm a little banged up right now. Actually, I wasn't banged up then. I was banged up then. But anyways, besides the point. But if that choke sign really pissed me off because you bricked the shot. You know what I mean? It wasn't like when Reggie Miller did it. I mean, he was three-pointer, swish, steal, three-pointer, swish. You see what I'm trying to say?
Sure.
Halliburton bricked the shot. And I think if that was Jordan or Kobe, there's no doubt in my mind they would have gave the good old, like, hey, I got lucky kind of vibe, but a swag, obviously, right? But to give the choke sign after you brick a shot and get lucky that goes in, I honestly think he put a little bit of a target on his back. And
you heard what he said about it, right? He said he had that move saved in his bag since last year, but you guys won. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, like you have this move, you're waiting to use it, you know the story, the history. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a try-hard move. That was my personal take from it, especially when I heard that he was just waiting on the right moment to use it. Okay, like I know that everyone's guilty of doing certain things for showmanship and whatnot, but I don't know. I thought it definitely could have been in a better moment, especially now that the series is where it is. But go ahead.
No, you're right. And I've watched Halliburton a lot over the last 3 games, not like during the not during the game, but like his.
Does he deserve the title as the NBA's most overhyped player by the players? They gave him the title.
I've been saying this for a while.
Overrated.
I've been saying he's overhyped, but he's got some special qualities. You know what I mean? And like even watching him in between plays, he's actually not as big of a dick as you think he is. Like you want to hate him. But he's kind of constantly.
Why do you want to hate him?
Yeah.
Is it because of his, like, he came from the Kings. He was obviously a very good piece. and he's the forefront of the Pacers backcourt, right?
And you talk about Halliburton, like I remember when Carlisle got him saying he's going to be a generational talent, which was weird because he was the sixth man there backing up De'Aaron Fox, and they had to give up Sabonis, right? For them to do that, then like him be right about it. But on Halliburton, he is a special player. Like rewatching the game last night, I just see like his defense is real tenacious, like off the ball. He gets a lot of these steals, and he is very hard to stop going to the basket, right?
Sure.
But I just didn't like the choke sign when it comes to you brick the shot. You got lucky, it went in. So we're down 0-1, right? You move to game 2.
It wasn't hold on. Before we just breeze by game 1.
Yeah.
It was a pretty monumental comeback. Naismith went nuts. They were down 17 with 6. They were down 9 points with 50 seconds. It was like, as a Knicks fan, I'm sure that you're just like, no, we got this. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then you see the shot and it leads into game 2, but it was the comeback. It was Naismith just getting unbelievably hot. He hit more threes in a fourth quarter than any other NBA player had done. It took a miracle followed by another miracle to be able to create the scenario, right?
Yep. Hey guys, please hit the subscribe and like button. Thanks for listening. No, Buff, you're right. They were down 20 points with 6.5 minutes to go.
If it was a close game back and forth, I wouldn't even bring it up, but it was another comeback, and that's going to lead into other things that we're going to talk about, right?
They were down 20 points with 6.5 minutes to go, down 14 points with 2.5 minutes to go. Arguably one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
Crazy.
I didn't really look at it like, I mean, I'm not trying to be a biased Knicks fan, but I didn't look at it like, oh, the Knicks just gave it away. The Pacers, like they started the game for like 7 for 7. They didn't miss. And the looks were good, but they didn't miss. And yeah, people are saying it was the greatest comeback in history because of how quickly they closed the gap. Like yesterday, we were down 20 in the first half, right? And
which we're going to talk about
that game because there are so many little details of that game that really make sports amazing to watch. But it was one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history. I don't want to.
You said immediately.
He bricked the shot to win the game.
Yeah, I'll quote you. You said immediately after the Knicks lost that game, you said, "I'm not worried at all. It was the luckiest shot in history.
Yeah,
we're going to be fine." And then you went on talking about a few of the lucky stats, yada yada.
Yeah.
Yes, that was your immediate take. As soon as you lost the game, you were going to be fine.
I know, and I wasn't like, I'm not trying to be like this ignorant, overconfident, cocky Knicks fan. I was just like, he had to get the luckiest bounce in NBA history to win a game. Yeah, they came back, but we stopped them. We got lucky. We stopped them. Halliburton used the cheat code. Thing bounced up 3 feet over the backboard. And he bricked the shot and it went in. And also, people forget, everyone thought in overtime the Knicks were going to come out flat. Knicks went up actually, quote, 6 points. They didn't call a goaltend, though, so we only went up 4.
Everybody talks about that goaltend as a Knicks fan. It's like those unspoken plays. People say that goaltend was a very, very big play that swung the momentum intensely.
We would have went up 6. Now, I think the refs have done a great job in this series. So and the goaltend wasn't blatantly obvious. You know what I mean? But it was a big call either way. And if we get the goaltending, we win the game. I think we would have went up 6 instead. We went up 4, and we know how the game went out. But about the refs, man, they are letting these guys play. Yeah, Brunson and Towns are getting into foul trouble. There was one foul on Brunson that I wanted to cry because the guy literally, I think it was Nembhard, just went in and just lost his balance and like went like this, and they called it on Brunson. And Brunson isn't even arguing anymore because he's just down the ground like, what's going on? Now, game 2 got me a little more scared because we couldn't stop them down the stretch. And it wasn't that they were just making shots. The ease, like so many layups and dunks and wide open threes. And I question if the Pacers have a true number 1, but man, they have a lot of like number 2s like Siakam. Halliburton's on that border, right, of 1 and 2. But There's just
Halliburton,
a
you got to
lot
give
of
a
guys
1.
on
You
that.
got to give Halliburton a 1. You give Siakam 2, and
Yeah.
then like Nembhard, Naismith, McConnell. Like you go down the list, and those are all their 2 to 3s, right?
Yeah.
But you got to give Halliburton a 1. He's a
Yeah.
superstar.
So, anyways, yeah, you're right. And we go down. We go in a Miles Turner. They're just really deep, and that's why they beat Cleveland. Because as I'm watching the game last night too, I'm like, there's not really a guy. The guy I was most scared of was Siakam when he caught the ball in the post with his mid ranger. You know what I mean?
Well, that was you were
There's really
saying
not a
game
guy
2,
like
you
when
couldn't really
Halliburton's
stop him.
3 goes up, as long as he's not wide open, I'm not terrified of it. Right? Miles Turner, okay, we'll talk about Miles because let's just get into game 3. Game 2, it was tricky. We lost.
Game 2, Siakam came out. He blew up. He averages 20-something points.
39
He went
points, I think
nuts.
he had. Yeah.
Right, 39 points. He went nuts. You're just talking about, I think, a Knicks team that was still trying to make adjustments. I think everybody was talking about the blatant decision to get Hard out and to get Robinson in. So it's a great segue to go right into game 3 because you could tell, like, in game 3, Hart came out, had 10 boards, 8 points. Like he was playing tenacious, running up and down. Like they kind of unleashed him off the bench. I think Robinson and Cat in there was a big advantage. And I think that you were able to, you've been controlling the boards, but I think Cat still had a slow game. And it's not like he came out and looked great the first 3 quarters. He just took over in the 4th. But that was like the adjustments that Tib made from game 2 to 3, if you want to talk about that.
You're exactly right, Buff. Please like and subscribe, guys. Now, game 3, what a game, but you have to give credit to Tibbs for having the balls to put Hart. I don't say we're not benching Hart. We just switched up and started Mitchell Robinson. And Reggie Miller said it right before the game. He says Tibbs is going to go down like a genius, or he's going to go down, and I can't remember the exact term he used, but he's going to go down as this was a horrible coaching move starting Mitchell Robinson, right?
But everybody was saying, like, if you and me and the average guys to the sharps are saying you should be plugging in Robinson over Hart and running big with Cat, I just don't know why. And I guess that's why we're not being paid millions of dollars, because of the other things that it affects, because Mitchell Robinson does give you deficiencies where he can give you positives in other areas. So I know that you have to weigh the checks and balances, but when you're down 2-0, right? And then you're down 20. You're down 20 at half, essentially, right? Or right before half. I mean, that's a big time to sit there and to really think that. I mean, because at the moment he's looking like a fool.
Let's talk about that, because I'm going down the family group chats, right? And if I could just
family group chat is a big deal for you, right?
I got my cousin John saying this game has aged me 5 years. I have another group chat saying it's time to blow up the roster. These are like typical Knicks fans, right? The Knicks tried. We beat a fraudulent NBA champion, Boston Celtics, which we can get into that. And now we're getting exposed. The experiment didn't work. I got them all written down here. The experiment didn't work. Blow up the team. We cut it to 13 at half. We got a shot. We did it. Like, it's just like, it's a typical, a typical Knicks fan reaction. Like, if I swear to you, I could write a book on family group, or just print the book, not write it, print the book on family group chats. And it's like Saturday.
Your group chat's pretty legendary. I know our buddy Ricky Lacey, who watches the show, his group chat's got a pretty legendary tag on it. And it definitely keeps us entertained. But these are the emotions that you feel from moment to moment, right? Especially as the Knicks fan. Now, when did you think in game 3 that you were actually going to have a shot? It was somewhere in the 3rd quarter, whenever you guys weren't playing this zone. You guys were playing more man-to-man, right?
Well, let me tell you when it all started for me. And Uncle Jamie, you're right. The Pacers are a lot better this year. It's the same exact roster, but this is a different team.
That's experience, man. That's experience.
And you could just see they're growing together as a team. I still think we could take them, but they're growing together. You're exactly right. I'll tell you this. I thought it was huge by the Knicks to not fold in the 2nd quarter and to get it back down to 13 at half. I posted in the family group chats. I'm like, this is big, because we could have went down 25 and that would have been trouble. But Reggie Miller actually talked about it. The last minute and 20 seconds, the Knicks played some of the best defense you could play against that Pacers team, and we got it to 13, right? You also
Absolutely.
got to give him credit. I mean, Tibbs deserves a lot of credit. I think the starting lineup thing is whatever. I think mainly him benching Payne and going to DeLon Wright and Shamet. I mean, that was like a huge play. Giving Miles McBride, letting Miles McBride kind of run the point.
Brunson was in foul trouble, right? Brunson had 5 fouls.
We got
and
forced
Cat
to
and
bench.
Cat was early, and he was in foul trouble too.
They both had.
Yeah, it was good for them to come out and to have him do it, because Brunson came out and hit the shot with just over a minute, and I felt like they definitely found that answer that they were looking for, right?
They both had 4 early, but man, this Knicks roster is very sneaky, and I think Tibbs just said, you know what? We're getting kind of tired. Cameron Payne has been a disaster. This roster construction was not just glue guys together like the Suns try and other teams try to do. Like another guy no one talks about is PJ Tucker. Doesn't play a minute in the game, but that guy,
he was one of the only guys.
He's in every huddle, right? And he's one of those veteran presence. I know I'm a fan of the show. Jordan Seckler made a great point. PJ Tucker might be like one of the most vital people to this team that obviously no one talks about, because
he just has all that experience. He's been on all those playoff teams.
It's veteran leadership. And Tibbs to have the courage to go to guys like DeLon Wright and Shamet and give breathers. And guess what? Shamet, Reggie Miller said, quote, one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. Let's use that. Let's put him out there. And he was a little nervous at first, but he hit a huge 3. He only shot 2. He made one of them, but that could be down the road really
big. That could be the confidence, right?
Like the roster construction. Look at the Pacers. It's crazy how every single player means something now. Like your 6th and 7th guys. Look what McConnell did for the Pacers yesterday. And I was just thinking, like, man, it's not what it used to be. Get the big 3 and hope that you get it right. You got to be strong top to bottom. It's
kind of crazy. The Pacers are rolling out Halliburton, and then they get Nembhard to run point, and then they get McConnell to run point.
Yeah.
And to one of your notes, you were talking about when McConnell hit that shot, the whole crowd had calmed down, and you had these defenses going on, or the defensive switches with DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet. That was massive, man. And I think that when you see PJ Tucker in there, and he's given everyone that calm, and he's that veteran voice that you need. Like, I think that's the belief that instills them. What nobody talks about is when the Knicks were down 20, they've already had 3 games this postseason that they've come back from 20 points down.
Yep.
And they had another game against the Celtics. They came back from 14 points down. So if there's one team, and I've never seen this before, it kind of gives me chills whenever you think about it. You've never seen a team that's down 20 and just still has that kind of belief. And that has that kind of fight. How many games did we watch in the last decade or two when it was 20, you would just turn it off because it was literally over at halftime, third quarter. In one quarter, in the first quarter, you would see 20-point leads and teams could never recover. For the Knicks to keep coming back and to keep standing up, I mean, you're making something out of yourself. You're turning your team, who had an identity as an experiment, into something else. You're finding your identity right now, and you're finding it in the most crucial part, right?
You're exactly right. And keep in mind, we're happy as Knicks fans. Yeah, we beat the NBA asterisk. I put an asterisk next to the Boston Celtics NBA championship because that team had the easiest road in the history of basketball. And they beat the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell. They beat Luka, who doesn't go to the guy drinks
even Giannis was out on that series. Like, I mean, everybody was down.
The Knicks are 1 year ahead of schedule, right? We weren't supposed to be here yet. We hoped, but we thought it would take a year to kind of put this team together. I mean, think about it. We got Towns and Brunson both in their 20s. Playing in their prime for the first time together. We thought this experiment was going to go. And like what you said, go back to with the TJ McConnell thing. When he made that jumper, he looks at the crowd like, hey, guys, we got this. And I kind of felt we were going to make a run, but we were just going to come up short because it just seemed like every time we scored a bucket, they scored a bucket. We'd get within 9. It would go back up into 15 in the third quarter. Then we started playing defense. Then I will say this. Some Knicks fans disagree with me. I bounced it around today with them. I compare that Towns dunk with the N1 to the Starks Chicago Bulls dunk. Like, to me, that showed me that Towns is – I said it on the last episode, but I don't know if I really believed it. Towns is ready for the big show. The way he caught that pass, dunked it on the guy.
He shrugged him off.
Yup. N1. I think that's going to go down, win or lose this series, as like a Knicks epic moment, very comparable to the Starks thing. You could argue.
Let's talk about a couple of facts, right? So obviously, big moment there. You guys were down 0-2. You come back from 20, and you steal a game in Indy. So as it stands right now, through 3 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, no team has won a home game yet.
Yep.
That's pretty insane, right? I think the last time we even saw something like that, it was like the World Series, and you saw like the Nationals ended up winning and they never even won a game at home or whatever it was. I always find that so crazy because you have to have a different kind of focus when you're on the road, and there's a different level of comfortability when you're at home. And so whenever you see these ebbs and flows and these back and forths with these teams that are trying to find their grounding at home and the other teams coming in with this different kind of focus, I think you have a very fair shot to win this next game tomorrow.
It was different. This game felt different. This game late.
Your defensive adjustments is what came down. You guys went from doing zone and like this soft defense to like you fight through every pick. You're man to man. You're getting in the passing lanes. You're running up and down the floor. Like that, you can tell the effort is there.
That block by OG Anunoby on Naismith, who like changed the game and won the game for them pretty much in game 1, I thought was like a statement kind of thing. And then they get the ball back with 2.6 seconds and they get a shot clock violation because Miles Turner is shooting a contested 3. The way the refs are letting these guys play and aren't calling, like, you can't just drive to the hoop and get a call. The Knicks, I thought, got lucky with one call when Siakam blocked McBride, but we could go back and forth on. But overall, it's nice watching them, letting them play. But the way I just give so much credit to Tibbs, like just having the balls to go to these guys that haven't played a lot for us all year.
Sure.
Benching, I'm always scared to do that. Like, I always think one of the most courageous moves of all time was when Saban benched Hurts to go to Tua to win the national championship. I always feel like it's better to let your guys work through it instead of bringing someone that hasn't played very much. But that's wrong, right? Tibbs made the right play. Win, lose, or draw that game. He made the right play. Please hit the subscribe and like, guys. Really appreciate it. Really made that, really just gave us hope and really shows that roster construction, how deep we can go.
So let's talk about this next, right? So Javi's saying that it's over, right? And of course, make sure you guys tune in. We got Rookies of the Year. Javi is one of the hosts of that show. It's a great show here on the podcast.
They're coming on after us. Please listen.
But Javi, here's one thing that I agree, and a point that I was making that I was waiting to talk to you about. So going into yesterday, all right, obviously there's only 5 games left. You're down 0-2. Yeah. Indy needs 2 more games, and they had 3 more games at home, right?
Yeah.
You need 4 games, and you only had 2 more games at home.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the math going into it. Now Indy loses this game. They still get a couple more chances. Obviously, they get the home game. Do you think that this changes like your mental attitude going into this next game?
For the
Knicks to be down, I said nobody's won a home game yet. I was also saying that I thought it was over, but you came out and won this crucial game.
Yeah.
Now it gives you the chance. It's not just the fact that you won. It was in the way that you won. It was in the manner in which you won I think it gives you more momentum than the Pacers do going into this next home game, right?
You're exactly right. Let's just really quick, though, okay? Let me put the overconfident Knicks fan aside for a second. Do you understand how crazy it is that we are up 2 points with like 15 seconds ago and Miles Turner shoots a three? Did you see? I rewound it and like put it in slow-mo. That thing went in, out, and
rimmed
out. Like
Yeah.
Miles Turner,
It
like
touched every piece of the rim.
he literally, right when he saw it, it left his hand. I watched his mannerism. He thought he buried it. So that's how close it is, right? So we win the game. But let me tell you the philosophy that I had going into this game. We obviously, you don't want to go down 3-0. You go down 3-0, it's probably over.
You're done. You're cooked. No team's ever done it, so you're going to automatically say you're done.
So we wanted to win this game. But obviously, being down 2-0, the mentality changes. And all I said was, I want to get back to Madison Square Garden, right? You got to start playing number games in your head and you're trying to motivate your players. And I know Tibbs does this a lot. What people were saying were, Tibbs says, let's get back to MSG. Let's win this game, but let's get back to MSG. Then we're 3-1, right? We win the MSG. It's 3-2 going back to Indiana. Pressure kind of switches, right? Now we're in Indiana. Now it's kind of like their game 7, right? Because they feel like they got to win this game because if they lose 2 straight, the last one at home, they're going back to MSG for game 7. Yes. The
Garden
Knicks,
environment,
Sam,
game 7, conference finals, bonkers.
Now, we all know the Pacers can win it in Madison Square Garden. We get it. But
yeah, they've already done it twice.
When you're losing and when you're down in a series, all you're trying to think about is how can we strategically get to game 7, right? So that's the way I looked at it. I wanted to win 1 out of 2 in Indiana. Get back to Madison Square Garden. Now, like you said, it wasn't that we won. It was the way we won. They got to feel gutted right now. They're going to say they're not, but they were up 20, ready to go 3-0, and the Knicks took it from them.
It's such a big win for you guys too, though, because you two teams, as in the Knicks and the Pacers, are 2 of the best clutch teams this playoff. And the Pacers were actually undefeated going into that game last night in clutch games. Whenever they were close, they were like 8-0, and you guys were good. And I know that our producer, Mr. Gene, was talking about how you were one of the clutch teams as well. But the fact that you took that and you gave them their like first clutch loss of the season, right, of this playoffs, that's a big deal, man. That's a huge deal that nobody's really talking about. Indy's just been performing so well late. Maybe it's kind of a numbers thing. It's going to eventually shade in your favor. So, hey, we'll see what happens game 4, man.
You know what
that's
I really
a big deal for you to win in
Knicks?
A close manner, too.
Yeah, I want the Knicks. I want Miles McBride to shoot 7 to 10 shots a game. His jumper, he's the best shooter on our team. His jumper is so good. And you know what's also crazy is Towns only played, I'm going to fact check it really good, 33 minutes. I'm going to double check it because he was in foul trouble.
Something like that.
Yeah, he was in foul trouble. So he only played, I'm going to just double check really quick. He played 33 minutes, which I think in the bigger, he went 24 and 16 in 30 minutes. He scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. I really think that we want Towns to get closer to 38. But he was in foul trouble. Mitchell Robinson has done an amazing job kind of filling in for him when it comes to being a big man that just grabs rebounds.
I was going to say, he's a rebounder, man. Indy already has the trouble rebounding the ball.
He's very coordinated with catching, very organized, or very talented when he catches alley-oop passes too, right? So that's a talent that's not super easy, but he's very coordinated. And like you could throw him an alley-oop, he'll catch it from these weird things. But it's just,
I told you about Karl Anthony Towns trying to make his reputation with this Knicks team. He came with this Karl Anthony Towns softness that everybody knew about. He wears these long leggings and, you know, it's whatever. He obviously got punked out by Hemi and whatnot. And for him to come in here and give himself that intestinal fortitude and to yam on somebody and, you know, to come through clutch, score 20 points, 8 rebounds in the fourth quarter, make a name for yourself in New York, man. You won't be soft if you're tough in New York, you know.
No,
nobody
you're right,
will call you
Javi.
soft.
Yeah, Javi, you're right. Like, does Karl Anthony Towns have the dumbest fouls in the league? I would say he's up there because, and the announcers are pretty hard on him too, but he fouls people when he's like so out of position. You know what I mean? And I think for how talented, Tim said it best in the press conference. He said, every player in the NBA has what they're great at and their deficiencies. It's all about hiding your deficiencies. Towns, Karl-Anthony Towns, very deficient, right? On defense. He's amazing on offense. He's one of the few guys that's a true 7-footer that can catch the ball at half court and take it to the hole, right? But he's not good at defense. So it's all about how can we try to shield Towns. Towns has to start being mentally smart. And when you're out of position, try to give them a harder opportunity to make the shot without fouling them.
Right? Well, you just can't go into foul trouble when you're, such an integral part of the team, and you got to be smart about those things.
But
giving up a 2-point basket, giving up free throws.
Yeah, going up. Oh, that's another thing. Free throws. Knicks were 27 for 30 from the free throw line.
That's impressive.
Pacers were 27 for 33, 80%, 90%, both great. It was just every time the Knicks went up to the free throw line, it was just like Josh Hart, 2 big free throws late. Jalen Brunson, 2 big free throws late. Yeah. It's just crazy how, even though the Pacers shot 80%, we outshot them by 3 free throws. And those 3 points, you could argue were the game, right? Yeah. But there's just
you got any other thoughts on the Knicks?
Say it again.
I said, you got any other thoughts on the Knicks? You think what's going to happen next game?
Look, every game has literally came down to the last 20 seconds, right? We're 3 games in, 3 games coming down to the last 20
All
seconds.
Clutch games.
I don't even know if the Knicks are really capable of blowing out a team, except for the fraudulent asterisk NBA champion Boston Celtics. But I think that it's just going to be a grind. But I truly think that now there's 8 to 10 guys in that locker room that know they have a chance to play and that they all believe in each other. And the way that Tibbs had the courage to go to people, I think that this was not just a win, but a win that can give them confidence. And it gives Knicks fans that confidence that, hey, we can go. And if we win Game 4, everything agrees. No, you know what? I'm going to address that. I'm calling them fraudulent NBA champions. A lot of experts wanted to put an asterisk on their championship last year. They went through the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell. They went through Luka and Kyrie, who just started playing together, who that was one of the weakest rosters to ever make an NBA Finals. I think
they ended up beating the Pacers because Halliburton was out Game 6 and 7 with a wrist injury.
So the Boston Celtics had this pretty much the same exact team. This year, they had Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, and Derek White all healthy for 90% of the playoffs. That team last year that won the
championship. Zingis wasn't Zingis, man. He wasn't what they were hoping that he was going to be. He was supposed to be this big. That was supposed to change everything.
Player to injury. That sucks. But if the Celtics team last year came into the playoffs this year, this Knicks team, this Pacers team, that Cavs team would have beat the Celtics. Celtics got lucky and had the easiest road in history of the NBA Finals. Then they played the worst constructed roster in the history of the NBA Finals. And they beat the Mavericks pretty easily. You know what I mean? I don't think Luka has proven he's a winner yet. He's a statistical machine. But I don't think he has what it takes. So
Jaylen Brown torn meniscus the entire playoffs.
I remember Jaylen Brown playing the whole playoffs. So
yeah, obviously that's debatable for you and your Rookie of the Year show, Rob. All right, so here's the way I see it, just to put a little bow on the Knicks series, right? I thought last night's game was so big because it's not only that you're not going down 3-0 and they have a chance to sweep you. It's the fact that now, whatever happens tomorrow, win or lose, you get another game at MSG.
Yep.
And no matter what, I'm counting you in on that game. So that's 2. Okay? Yep. That's 2. And you already proven that you can win in Indy and that you have a defensive advantage, I think. And I think that there's a real opportunity for you to either, if you don't steal 3 if this next game, or 2 per se, then you could definitely get it in Game 6 and push it to 7.
Yep,
and that's why I thought last night's game was so big, because it not only gave you the life to extend the series a couple more games, but it's totally different. Like you said, you're down 3-0, and to find the mental fortitude to come back in a road environment in a game 4 to stave off elimination, or to give yourself that confidence. Well, no matter what, we're coming home. No matter what, you're getting a game at MSG. I think that's a big deal. That was my only
It's a
take.
big deal, man. As Knicks fans, we have hope. Karl Anthony Towns has literally shown that it's 1A and 1B. And when Jalen Brunson arguably had his worst playoff game of the season, so of the playoffs, the 2025 playoffs, that Towns and OG were willing to pick him up. And even though Bridges didn't have a big game, man, he made some big shots in the third quarter. And it really felt like this team is just, we have so many guys that could hit you, from McBride to Bridges to Hart, Mitchell Robinson grabbing offensive rebounds, Towns. I just love this roster construction, and we are literally 1 year ahead of schedule. And when these guys keep playing with each other, it's honestly, but we finally have hope.
You pissed off all the Celtics fans.
Hey,
Injuries only matter when it's convenient.
when we
Banners
were
are hanging.
when we were down 2-0, I was looking myself in the mirror embarrassed, because I said, we beat the NBA champions. We could beat anybody. Then I just went back and looked at how they won the championship. Just like we put asterisks next to Barry Bonds, asterisk, it's a hard word to say. Barry Bonds' home runs, there's an asterisk next to that Boston Celtics championship. And I think we conclude on that, right? You want to jump to OKC, Mini?
Yeah, so what do you think about this OKC series? So also, just as a little parallel, I was sitting there watching this OKC game 1, right, earlier in the week, and they were down by 8.5.
Yeah.
Right. And I was sitting there looking at the Timberwolves. Randall was doing his thing, and it looked like they had a couple things figured out. And I was sitting there texting you, are you at all worried? And just as you had said with the Knicks, you're like, I am not worried at all. They come back, they storm back in the third quarter, which was a little bit weird for the Timberwolves to let the Thunder, are one of the weaker third quarter teams. It's one of their deficiencies. They don't have a lot. Their third quarter is not their best quarter. When it comes to adjustments, I guess, with Finch, whatever. But they ended up dominating. They walked off with that game. They come out, they win game 2, and then we saw what happened game 3, just as a little recap, right? And they end up losing by the biggest margin in game 3 that they've lost.
Yeah.
During the season, they only lost like 6 games by double digits. So it's a rarity.
Yeah, thanks
You
for
know,
listening.
like for them to get blown out is a huge deal. For them to get blown out like this in Minnesota, obviously, what are your thoughts?
You know what? Minnesota, everybody knew that Minnesota was going to come out guns blazing, and they buried OKC early on and never gave them a chance. I thought this series would go 4-0, 4-1. I'm hoping I'm wrong, because I'm hoping as a Knicks fan, if we get there, which, you know, we're right on pace. In my mind, we're up 2-1 or 3-0, but I know we're not because of the luckiest bounce in NBA history.
You could be up 3-0, right?
Exactly. But I think that Minnesota just came out fired up. I would be shocked, obviously, tonight if this game isn't closer. SGA, the NBA MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander,
had a horrible game.
Had a horrible game. I think he's going to come back. And
I think Jalen Williams has got to be better on that team.
Yeah.
I
think Minnesota still has some deficiencies, right? Deficiencies seems like a big word today. But Gobert is such a great picker on offense. But he doesn't bring that threat of like the pick and roll, really, because offensively he's not super gifted unless he's 3 feet from the basket. Right. And he can't really pop out. So you're not always scared. It's an easier switch on offense, right? So it's going to be all up to the other players like Nickel Alexander. Conley had a good game, right? And honestly,
Julius Randle falls a lot of responsibility. He's got to be the other guy along with Edwards.
You can't discredit. And I want to talk about body control, but like when you watch Anthony Edwards move on the basketball court, it just looks a little different, right?
It does, yeah.
It looks like KP said earlier this week. He looks like Jordan. or Kobe, when like there's a
I was
loose
gonna say I
ball.
got remnants of Kobe with just the way he like gets long and
Yeah,
comes
and
back.
we're not reinventing the wheel or doing anything like that when we're talking about that. He's been getting those comparisons since he was the first pick in the draft, but nobody really knew obviously he'd be like this. But the way he like attacks loose balls, the way he came out in this game,
He
I mean,
dropped 30.
yep, and he did it in like 2.5 quarters, right?
Right.
Um, and the way he's like, there was like one 1 minute series where he had like a bucket, assist, steal, rebound, turnover, block. Like it was crazy. And just the way he moves, it just looks different. When you see Anthony Edwards going for a loose ball, you just feel like no matter who's running around them, he's going to get there. And that's just something, I think that's determination. And he definitely has all the swag and everything like that and the confidence. But it's also just
He's
freakish
very
athletic ability, you know?
yeah. I think that's part of his arrogance is that he knows how good he is. And I mean, kid's got the
Hey,
sneaker deal. He's balling.
Rob,
He was
we've
blowing
moved
out.
on. There's an asterisk next to the Boston Celtics.
Guys, you're gonna
We
have to
go
sit there
up.
and cover that for another hour in your next show. Okay,
Yeah,
we're
I
moving
was
on
up
here
in Boston not too long ago, and it's hard to see, but there's an asterisk
on
that
that banner.
somebody put up there on the banner.
It might be in
So,
green. It might blend in with the
yeah,
threading, but it's like it's there.
but
But yeah, I think that when you see the Wolves come out and do that, I kind of felt that was maybe something that was what I was expecting. Honestly, the Knicks to do. You know what I
okay, let me
mean?
talk. That's a good point, Bubba. Let me talk about that. Watching the Minnesota OKC game, I was almost like disheartened because now I'm like, oh, the Pacers are watching this, and the Pacers are not right. They're not. I know it was going back to Indiana. It's a little
Right.
different,
Sure.
but the Pacers are watching this, and Carlisle. You don't think he's telling all his guys the next day, hey, you saw what OKC did up 2-0. We're not going to do that. So I felt like that game almost prepared Indiana
100%, man.
to come out, and look what happened. Indiana goes up 20, and we end up, just playing amazing defense, and Tibbs coached the game of his career to get us back, But I think that I would say this. I would be saying OKC, OKC, OKC all the way. But it is a little alarming that you lost, that you were down 40 in the third quarter, right?
So
So
here's a
like,
couple things. Everybody's already the prohibitive favorite in the playoffs right now is OKC. They were the
yep,
number one seed. They got the MVP, Shai
yep.
Gilgeous-Alexander, right? He's absolutely amazing.
Please like and subscribe, guys. Thank you for joining us. Honestly, we really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Go
we
on, Buck.
appreciate the love, y'all. With that being said, man, the fact that they did lose this game and they could lose this next game and be 2-2, and then it's only, a race to 3. That's a massive deal. I thought they had to come out and knock out Minnesota just to kind of end this series. And I don't think Anthony Edwards is the type of dude that you want hitting another level. We haven't seen him hit that next takeover level in the playoff games, in the big moment. Your team's down in a series. Like, you might be letting him grow into that monster he's either going to turn into, or you got to continue to limit him. I thought it was very indicative. The Thunder, they shot poorly because of the defense of the Wolves. They were swarming. They definitely were committed to it. I know that you're going to have some juice at home. I'm just more excited. I would say they were more likely to lose game 3 than 4. So I think everything falls down this next game. I think it's Minnesota's season. They have to win this next game. If
Yeah.
they lose this next game, it's over. I don't see them going into Oklahoma and being able to do anything like we're seeing in this other Eastern Conference series
Yeah,
where
the Knicks
nobody's winning at
Pacers
home.
has a different feel to it, right? It
Right.
feels like,
Totally different.
and let's
Very
be
home
real.
dominant,
Yeah,
obviously already, right? Because nobody's lost yet. And they say a series hasn't even started until you lose at home. So what if this is a 7-game series and
yeah,
nobody was giving Minnesota the respect and they have figured something out against OKC? Because OKC, they turn a lot of their offense because of the prowess on defense.
you're
So
exactly
if
right.
right, and if Minnesota plays slow half-court sets and they can be methodical and they
Yep.
can take away that pace and you can bang on defense, I think there's something to be said, right?
No, you're exactly right. So, unlike the Pacers and the Knicks, Minnesota and OKC are statistically they're like third and fifth, but in the whole NBA, but in defense. But I think those are the top two defensive teams. And Minnesota just put the clamps on and then turned it into offense. But I think that you're exactly right. Where the Knicks Pacers, every game has been so close. Thanks for listening, Kevin. Thanks, Ricky. I think that you're exactly right. This is a must-win game for Minnesota. If they lose, the series is over. Knicks Pacers, totally different vibe. Do they come out with the same juice? I think so. It's a great. I was watching the game. I couldn't really pinpoint what was happening because they just got blown out so quick. You know what I mean? And SGA just
I felt like they flipped the script. It was the Wolves defense that was outletting into offense. So it's like they took what OKC did and threw it right in their face. And it was honestly, the adjustments were very similar. You see these teams right now in these conference finals going from zone to like man to man. And maybe they're seeing what you're seeing, where the refs are letting them play, right? And they're like able to like bang. They're able to drop a shoulder. They're able to sit there and to kind of get a little bit of contact without the whistle. So I feel that's more advantage for Minnesota. I feel that is who they are. They want to play ugly. They want to play tough. They want to bully you. And like, you know, I feel like the Thunder are very tactical. I feel that they're very accurate. I feel like there's a little bit more of that Golden State feel with the way the ball movement and the way they pass around and like try to get, you know, the extra pass. I don't necessarily feel that with the Timberwolves.
You know what's tricky about OKC? And I really wanted to say this, and I stopped myself, but I'll say it and then correct myself. I think that remember when Gobert had that game against Golden State where he had like 25 points and 20 rebounds or something like that?
Yeah.
The problem with OKC is not only can they run and shoot and they're deep and they play great defense, but they have Chet Holmgren and Hartenstein.
Right, and Hartenstein had a bad game last game, right?
Yeah, he had a bad game, but we all, as Knicks fans, like we miss him, and we just knew we wouldn't be able to pay everybody. We can't have, you can't have everybody, so we had to let somebody go.
I mean, would you rather have Towns or Hartenstein? I mean,
no, Towns. I mean, that's not even a close question.
It's no brainer.
Oh yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So we had to let him go, but that's the problem with OKC is that we say deficiencies. They don't have many deficiencies, right? They could play big, they could play small, they could shoot, they can run. And
thank you, Rob, for the correction. I know you're super butthurt about your Celtics having an asterisk. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. Against the Lakers, man, Rob is just
he's nitpicking now, buddy.
That asterisk. You're right, Rob. I stand corrected. It was against the Lakers. They decided not to play Jackson Hayes. But thank you for that. As our new executive producer, one of them, right? The show is growing. We're very lucky. Please like and subscribe. So, yeah, I think that OKC comes back tonight and kind of puts the clamps on them, right? It's always, if life was so easy to say, Jeff and I always say this, whatever happened last game is going to happen this game, right? So it's pretty easy to say, oh, Minnesota blew them out. It's going to be, but I hope, and I think this will be a game similar to how the Pacers Knicks have been going.
OKC is -3.5 tonight. You gotta like that, right? Like it's crazy to see like a team that wins by an average of 13 points. Yeah. You know, they're winning by an average of 13 points throughout the season. And last game, it didn't matter. They were -2.5. This game, they're -3.5. So they get blown out by 40, and Vegas gives them an extra point or one less point. You know what I mean? How crazy is that? So like, nobody's over here thinking that they're going to get blown out again. Like Vegas knows, we know, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I always say like Vegas likes to dangle that carrot in front of you too, right? Because it's like everyone's like, oh, I'll bet OKC because the line's going to go way down. And no, they actually, and they set a line and the bettors speak on how the line moves. But it's funny to think that, like
if I was a betting blowout leads to one extra point. That was the little betting stat that I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. If I was a betting man, I would probably take OKC -3.5, right?
100%. They win by an average of 13. It's a numbers thing. Even if they lost last game, you just take it again.
Exactly. I think that it's just real funny to see how Vegas does that. I think OKC comes back, and it'll be fun. I hope that becomes a series because I don't want any one of those teams winning an easy series because the Knicks already kind of had they've been dogging it out. Like I said, we're 1 year ahead of schedule. So we're pretty much free rolling right now. But I think that if the OKC Minnesota series goes a lot longer, it just helps the Pacers and the Knicks. Obviously.
Everybody said OKC in 4, obviously Minnesota. So now it's 5. I'm like, I don't see them. I could see the potential of OKC winning in 5, sure. I think Minnesota's got more fight than what anybody's given them. I think the growth process is happening right in front of us right now with AE. And I think we're about to see something that maybe we haven't seen yet. I think this next game is close. I could see Minnesota having a chance to win it for sure down in the fourth quarter. You might as well go ahead and fast forward to 3 minutes. Fourth quarter, it's going to be a couple possessions, if not one. And I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I think it's going to be fireworks with this next one between these two. Is there anything else you want to say about that series or about what the NBA is doing right now?
I do. You know what, Buff? I know you mentioned it earlier, and I just don't want to sign off. I want to get it now since we have the most people in the building, right? But I think it's important that we realize what today is. You already said Happy Memorial Day, but we wouldn't even be able to talk about this stuff if it wasn't for the people that have served our military, right? And served our country.
I got family in the military, my grandfather's.
Yeah. So I just think it's important for us just to really talk about it just because I was waiting to see how high the numbers would go. And, I don't know if they'll go any higher. I hope so. But since we have the most people in the building right now, I just think it's important to really talk about that just for one moment or just think about it and just, maybe have a 2-second moment of silence in honor of those, people that have made this great country is what it is. And for us to be able, the luxuries in life that we get to have and talk sports and watch sports all day, it's mainly because of what those people did for us over the last hundreds of years from now back then, right?
100%, man. Take a couple
moments. Yep. Thanks. All right. Let's get back into
Hold on. Yeah. I was going to say this. If you want to talk about Memorial, 5 things that have happened that are pretty impressive on this day. Of course, 1991, the Bulls sweep the Pistons. Changed everything, right? Michael Jordan's coronation, whatnot. Yep. Reggie Miller's clutch shot in 98 against the Bulls. Another Memorial Day miracle. You had Jordan dropping 54 in 93 on Memorial Day. And that's against the conference finals against your Knicks. I'm sure you remember that. That was a big deal. Number 2, the Memorial Day miracle. My grandmother was actually at this game when Sean Elliott hits that 3 and his heels are over the line.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Absolutely incredible. That was one of the coolest shots that I've ever seen. And that was against the Blazers, propelling them to a victory. And then the number 1 was the Memorial Day massacre in 85 when the Celtics obliterated the Lakers of the finals. So, I mean, those are some things that have happened on this day. It's always a fun day in basketball history whenever, you get a holiday and it lines up with the playoffs. So I wanted to just mention a few things because we do have a game tonight. And it just seems like this day always brings the best out of people because we are fighting and we're appreciative of what others are doing because they fight for us, right?
No, yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of people grilling out, having a great day today, right? And then kind of really just settling into that couch and just saying, let's watch some great basketball, right? I think we could talk about ratings and stuff like that, and people are saying it's going to be a disaster if it's Pacers OKC in the finals or whatever it is. But, man, watching that game yesterday, amazing. It was just great basketball. And it's not like these Boston idiots dribbling down the court and just firing threes. I mean, there was movement. There's backdoor cuts. It's pick and rolls. And it was really fun to watch actually basketball being played instead of, dribble down the court 3 times and chuck a 3 and hope to God it goes in. Hey, besides the asterisk, I guess it worked for them once. But you got to come in the playoffs now that the rosters are more balanced. You got to come and play basketball,
I love that, man. Well, let's move on to the MLB, huh? Obviously, a couple things there.
Yep.
You got just a particular figure of popularity, Mr. Juan Soto.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, he's a phenom. The guy's a monster. He's in his prime right now. He was with the New York Yankees last year, had
Yep.
an absolutely monster year, and then he traded to the other market, right? Went to the Mets. I think that both teams are pretty similar in record. Like the Yanks are 32-20, and the Mets are 32-21. But I feel it's a drastically different background or scenery with each division, and I think that maybe there's a little buyer's remorse, and maybe he should have stayed in New York with the Yankees instead of staying in New
So,
York with the Mets. Well, give me a couple of thoughts here.
yeah, as a Yankee fan, and our executive producer, the one that gave us this opportunity, Gene, we were talking about it last night. There's nobody happier than Yankee fan no one's happier than Yankee fans to watch Soto. Not only has he not hit double-digit home runs yet, the guy's batting 236. One
Yeah,
of the
it hurts
biggest.
me because I have him in a keeper league, but I
Yeah,
also just wanted to say, as a Yankees fan, Gene, I hope you never sleep at night trading away Aaron Judge. But go ahead and continue,
yeah,
please.
despicable. We'll talk about that on another.
Unbelievable, that guy calling himself a Yankees fan, trading away one
Yeah,
of the pieces. But
don't even
anyways, go
get me
ahead.
started. But you know what?
So
Also,
Soto's having a bum year right now. And it's not saying he's going to have a bad year for the rest of the year, but right now it doesn't look good.
I think he made a big mistake. I think first of all, I don't know why, as a left-handed bat, you'd want to go to Met Stadium, right? You
Sure.
had you had a
You know a lot
perfect
about the ballparks. I know you study that thing.
you had a perfect stadium. You had a perfect guy protecting you. You had a team that you just went to the World Series with, and like a dingbat, you left the Nationals. You show no loyalty. You go to the Yankees. You show no loyalty. You go to the Mets. Like, what does this guy stand for? And you know what? The guy has historically, we all know athletes get coddled. He has historically been coddled throughout his whole life. And now he faces adversity and he keeps on going down. Meanwhile, Judge is batting 400 and one of the league leaders in home runs. And Soto doesn't even have double-digit home runs. He's batting 236. And the guy's making like $200,000 in that bat and doesn't even hustle out of the batter's box. He hit
Yeah,
an
it's not good,
opposite.
dude.
He hit an opposite field shot off of Fenway, off the monster. The wind's blowing in at 25 miles per hour. Didn't even come close to going over the green monster and gets a single. A lefty coming out of the batter's box. Talk about no respect for the game. Talk
No
about no
hustle.
respect for the contract. No respect for the fans that are paying thousands of dollars because you want to take a $750 million contract.
And
And you know
cripple a
what?
franchise. Obviously,
If
the
you want
Mets
to
aren't going to be
bat
crippled, but that's awful.
400 and you want to hit, you want to bat almost 400 and you want to hit 60 home runs, you do whatever you want. But if you're going to bat 236 and you're at 8 home runs on the year, you better at least hustle out of that batter's box.
I mean,
And
you
it's
got to be scrambling for a double. You got to still be stealing bags. The
like,
guy's literally just hitting. He's not even hitting well. You know, the
Jeff,
Mets are
it's
like
not
down 2 games from the Phillies.
yeah.
They're not even leading the division. And then you're talking about, so you got the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves are right there at 500 and getting healthy. So that's a problem. They're not even guaranteed to like make it anywhere. I feel if I was with the Yankees and I was given that opportunity, I'm looking at the way those other rosters are constructed with Boston, with Tampa, with Baltimore. I'm just, it's not even a competition to me. I'm staying with the Yankees. I'm staying in the pinstripes. You got Judge protecting you. You don't know, like you could hit at the top of the lineup and you have one of the literally league's greatest hitters right now behind you protecting you. And you choose to leave all that for Lindor, for Alonso. And don't get me wrong, like the Mets roster is decent,
They did
right?
a
And we
good
can tit for tat,
they
but
did a
it's
good
not
job
the
constructing
same.
that roster. The Mets ownership is amazing. The Mets management's amazing. And Jeff, it's not about being butthurt. It's about you're taking 3/4 billion dollars and you can't even hustle out of the batter's box.
It's a lot
You're
of
batting
money,
236. Also, you went to the World Series with the Nationals, and then they won the World Series with the Nationals, right?
right? Yeah.
And then he goes to the World Series with the Yankees, and then he just chases the money by reports saying that they want a suite, because the Yankees didn't offer him a suite. Like, it's honestly just a joke. It's embarrassing, and no one deserves to be batting 236 and hitting 8 home runs like Juan Soto does. I
Yeah,
just
and I
think the
think
way
when
he
it comes to
disrespected
baseball right
me.
now, I think baseball's got a good. I think I said it earlier. They got a lot of youth. They got a good thing going. They're making changes to the game. The game's a lot more watchable right now.
Buff,
Everything's moving quicker. The pace is amazing. What were we gonna
yeah,
say?
Buff. How about your boy Acuna?
Oh man, he's on
First,
a ripper. First game back, first
first,
pitch homer.
first pitch.
Just jacks it. And
Soto
then
doesn't have that in his arsenal.
no, and then
Acuna,
next game, he comes out and hits another one, has an epic backflip, and we ended up losing yesterday, but he had a double. He's looking great, man. I told you I was really big on Acuna with a bounce back year this year, and I know that he was just lighting it up with his recovery and whatnot. So I'm super excited to see him come out, and I think he's definitely a piece for us that could get us moving in the right direction. We're right there. We're like 2 games under 500 with the Braves. I think they're definitely going to be able to move forward and get over that hump and be able to compete with the likes of the Mets and 231 Soto and the Phillies, who, maybe they're cooked, maybe they're not. But I know that we
no,
definitely can compete with both of them. We got
no,
Strider
yeah,
back, we got
Jeff,
Schwellenbach, we got Sale, we got some good arms to match up with the rotation.
and Jeff, I know that we do have some fans of the show, right? That are Yankee fans and Met fans, but it's not butthurt we didn't get Juan Soto. It's we got Bellinger, Max Fried, and Goldschmidt.
I'm butthurt that we lost Max Fried because that guy's still a stud.
Instead of giving $750 million to Soto. And I applaud my boy Cashman. Obviously, we have a little bit of history. Rumor has it he's somewhat of a fan of the show, but I would love to.
He's tuned in.
Yeah, I'd love to get him on if we could, obviously, but we don't get Fried, Goldschmidt, and Bellinger, so it's not butthurt. It's sad to see a player just not, you know what I mean? Not
of his pedigree, not put your heart into it, man. Are you kidding me?
He overestimated his ability. He should have stayed in the best ballpark for any lefty, and he had one of the greatest hitters of all time. He could have had that. Judge is aging really well. I think Judge has a good 5 years left in him before he starts.
I had no idea that guy's like 28, 29 years old. It's just crazy.
Huh? I know.
I said I had no idea he's like 28, 29 years old, like 30, almost 30. Like, it's crazy.
Well, yeah, Judge being 33, right?
Oh, he's 33. It's wild.
So yeah,
wild,
I'm
man.
hoping.
I always thought he was in his early 20s, mid 20s.
Yeah,
you know.
I know, because he was a late bloomer. You know what I mean? But I do think it's really Fried on pace to go for the Cy Young.
He's
Lacey,
definitely
thank you for
Cy
that
Young
stat.
right now.
Guys, please like and subscribe. Yeah, Max Fried 8-0, 1.170 ERA. He's right on pace for the Cy Young. And Soto.
Well, if he, as long as he's with that market, there's no way that they're going to give it to like a Bubic with the Royals, and you're not going to give it to Hunter Brown, who's having, a little bit up and down, had a great year with the Astros. Anytime you get a big market pitcher pitching like that, dude, it's almost locked up, man. It's crazy.
And also the AL, I mean, the best team I think in the AL right now is the Detroit Tigers. So the AL is looking pretty weak, and I feel like the Yankees will be back at the World Series again, and the Mets will lose to the Dodgers again. Guys, please like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.
All right, so there's a little MLB. So a couple NFL things that I wanted to just cover real quick, because I know we're kind of at that point. So obviously we lost Jim Irsay this last week. Great owner, 65, 66, whatever, owner of the Colts. He actually had his own Jim Irsay band. He's into rock and roll. Peyton Manning credits him for turning Indy into a football town, so the guy did a lot for the game. Obviously he will be missed, and hopefully we'll see some good things out of the Colts. And thanks so much for being a cool owner. His dad had passed. He took over the team. Now he's moving on the team. Just as a little NFL side note there.
We might have misstated some stats there, but Rob's checking on that. Free might be 7 to 1.29 ERA. Either way. Yeah. But no, I think that Jim Irsay obviously battled with addiction. I don't know if I don't know what took him down, obviously. But all I know about the guy from hearing from McAfee stories and stuff like that, there was nobody that if you ever had a relationship with him, once you had a relationship with Irsay, he was a friend for life. Yeah. And he said that if you ever called him up needing something, The guy just had a blank checkbook and said, "Hey, I'm here for you." So it's always good to see people with that kind of money actually, buy into that. Like, hey, I'm a friend. I have this. I
And
can
he came
help you.
across as like the owner, everyday dude. He played in a band. He collected
Yeah.
guitars. Like the guy's just a dude's dude,
Yeah. God rest
And
his
he
soul.
let
He
football.
honestly,
I hope
he went
Jerry
out a
Jones
little
can
too
take a
early.
page out of his book. He let football people make football decisions.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
that about an owner, huh? I'll definitely miss a little bit of that.
As a
Another
Cowboys
thing.
fan, that right, like you kind of
Oh,
wish
that stings, bro. It
that your
really does.
organization could somewhat be run like that, right?
100%. Another note in the NFL, defensive end Hutchinson cleared full activity. So you're going to see that Lions defense with his teeth back. That was a tragic injury. I think it definitely derailed a potential Super Bowl run by the Lions if they have Aiden Hutchinson. The guy's just been nothing but hair on fire as soon as he came into the league. He was in college. Looks like he's headed for a Hall of Fame career as long as he can stay healthy,
What do you think is
God
going
willing.
through his head during that game when he's seeing Jaden Daniels just gut that defense, right? He's probably just thinking, man, if I was out
He's
there,
just so pissed off. He's probably worked out even harder and recovered even faster and did everything he could just to sit there. And he was watching that game, started doing curls. You know what I'm saying? Like there is no way that you watch your team get embarrassed like that and
we
it
have
just
an
doesn't hit you.
inside source that tells us that he has a Jaden Daniels poster on his ceiling. So when he goes to sleep at night,
It's a fat head just glued right to his ceiling.
that's his motivation to,
It's incredible. Inside
to
source.
get up every morning. No alarm clock needed.
And then, of course, other than Ursay dying, the biggest talk out of the NFL this week was the tush push. It came out quickly, and I reported it to you that it was about to be banned, and it was about to be banned. But then the NFL does what the NFL does. It allows people to go out and to speak their thoughts and minds. You had Paul Laurie out there referring to the tush push as a wet dream for a teenage boy. Something like I thought that was just such a poetic play on words there to say a wet dream to a teenage boy, because where he's coming from, they created a play that worked so successfully that the NFL wants to ban. It's a dream for any team, any
Hey,
player,
you know
any
what?
coach, right?
I was thinking about, because I mentioned the Giants on how bad they were with the tush push, but if the tush push was that easy, the Bills would have been in the Super Bowl, right?
I mean, sure, but the Cowboys even come out and say there's like other teams. Oh, the tush push, we're good at the tush push. The Cowboys never run the tush push, okay? They're like, we're good at it, but we still think it should be banned. I think it's awful. You had Kelsey go over there and advocate for the safety of the play. Like the safety, it was Kelsey getting low. I know I talked about it a couple shows. He gets low faster, quicker than anybody. If he's out here saying it's not going to be detrimental to your head health and it's not taking anybody out of the game, then it just sounds like it's a bunch of people that say they can run it, but they're just upset that they can't run it because they have the personnel that can't run it, right?
Yeah. But Buff, think about that. If the tush push was so easy, the Bills literally would have been in the Super Bowl because they got stopped. Now, I think
what was it, 2 or 3 times on the same player? Right?
That spot was horrible, but on that drive, they did a tush push and they got stopped. And you're talking about Josh Allen. The only reason why we got Kevin Walsh listening, literally legendary high school defensive coordinator down in South Florida, see some of the best talent around our country. And there are ways to stop it. The reason why it's so hard to stop it with the Eagles is Jalen Hurts squat 600 pounds. Now, this is a thing that people don't understand. I was listening to talk show radio last night, and if they ban the tush push, they're still not banning the QB sneak. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
You brought this point up. You brought this point up.
So yeah, you're not going to be able to a running back isn't going to be able to shove the guy forward, but that's
the two backs being able to push him up.
Yeah, that's not going to matter for the Eagles, right? Eagles will just say, all right, we'll just do a QB sneak. What does it matter? We have
they're still +1 on personnel because of the quarterback. So they're always going to be able to just sit there and push him forward.
And also, there's other things you got to take into account too, right? The Eagles are so good at it because you got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown out wide. You got Saquon in the backfield. So God forbid you think they're running the tush push. And if they don't, Saquon's going 50 to the house, right?
Yeah. Yep. So that was something. And then the last thing in the NFL I wanted to talk about, what are the Steelers doing? Huh? Just as a little, hey, certified Rob. I know you don't want to talk about this. You're obviously a Celtics fan and you're a Steelers fan. However, God mixed that up. But what is Aaron Rodgers doing? I think it's personally because they lost Pickens. I think he was a part of the package. And maybe whenever they had initially said, they said, we're not going to be keeping him. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
But I feel there's no other reason than you wouldn't make a verbal commitment. Now, people are saying he doesn't want to do minicamp. He wants to skip all of this.
I don't buy
skip
that.
all.
I
I
don't
don't buy that. I think if you were going to play, you would verbally commit and you would already be working with your personnel and roster as a competitor. You want an advantage to start working with your team, do you not?
I don't. I could be honest with you. There's been a lot of Pittsburgh writers that said last week, today is the day he's signing. And then I think it was Colin Cowherd that read that. And then he made the joke, now that this came out, he's going to wait one more day to sign.
100%.
So
That's who Aaron Rodgers
honestly,
is. He's very
every
cryptic.
day he waits, it makes Rodgers and the Steelers look bad, right? Because now it looks like Rodgers isn't excited.
Right.
And
if you're the Steelers, if you're not rolling out Rodgers, who are you rolling out?
It can't be Mason Rudolph. And you can't, for how good Shedeur Sanders has looked in OTAs, you can't say you couldn't have wasted a 4th or 5th round pick on the guy. Like, come on.
Ironically enough, he did get signed to a $4 million contract after people saying he might be cut. Are you kidding me? Like, why would they cut him? He's already outperforming, who is it, Dylan Gabriel, whoever they drafted ahead of him. Like, he's ahead of him. Like, it's crazy, man. Like,
and I mean,
you definitely could have spent a later round draft pick and picked a Shedeur Sanders and been in a better situation than what you are in right now.
Yeah. I think Omar Khan, obviously, he's done a lot for me in my life and my family, and I think the guy's a genius. And honestly, the way he built this roster,
he's waiting to hear what you're about to say right now.
This roster is incredible. Just being on the field last year, it made me see how bad the Giants roster is compared to the Steelers, just with the eyeball test, right? Sure. And the Steelers have a roster. I think they have a defense to beat teams like the Ravens and the Bills, and of course the Chiefs, who I think might start sinking down a little bit. They had an amazing run, but you can't do it forever. But you got to get a quarterback. So if it's Cousins or if it's Aaron Rodgers, but I would have so much more of a sense of urgency. And the Steelers, if you've ever seen Omar Khan in an interview, the guy he's like the opposite of me. So level,
even
so meticulous and just everything he does is just very well thought out.
Sure.
But I think it's panic time in Steel Town, right?
I mean, it's a big move right now, man. We're already heading into June, like June's about to be here, and you're talking about June, July, and then August is here. You know what I mean? So these are the last few months to kind of figure out what you're going to be doing. I feel these are moments that your roster and everything should be gelling and getting to know each other. You should be having these guys having outings and getting the whole team, rah camaraderie. Like, this is the time for your team to be gelling and being a team right now. And I feel that they're missing that without their captain. That's a huge deal, man.
Yeah. And before we sign off, we always want to say, hey, we're trying to build something special here. We're little peons in this big podcast universe. But at noon, you're going to hear Rookies of the Year, an amazing show, probably spreading a lot of false information about the Boston Celtics. But also they have some great inside info about what the Steelers are going to do. So please tune in at noon. But yeah, I just don't really, not to beat a dead horse, man, but it's just I don't really see what is happening, right? Because we all know the quarterback is not the most important position in the NFL. It's the most important position in all of sports. And how can you construct this perfect roster and still not have a quarterback?
Well, all right, so let's just flash forward. So they got an ugly division, okay? You have the Ravens, who are the class of the division. They're the best at offense and defense. You have the Bengals, who are, I would put them right behind. They're really good at offense, and I don't know what they're going to do with Hendrickson. Their defense, obviously, has been a problem. And then you have the Browns. The Browns are the Browns. They have a decent defense, and they're trying to figure out their offense. And then here we are with the Steelers. The Steelers are perennial. They're always 8-8, right? They're like 8-8. or they're going to be, but obviously there's 17 games now, 9-8. They're going to be 10-7. You're going to put them right around the 500 mark. And it doesn't matter who their quarterback is. Their defense is going to keep them in all of these games. They play in an ugly division. They play in cold weather. With those kind of advantages, it befuddles me that you're not out here trying to make this move when your division is like, you're still the number 2 team in your division per se. Like the
All right.
Bengals.
So listen, Jeff just brought up a great point, and I'm going to reverse this question, Jeff. So please, if you're there, stay hot on the keyboard. Also, if Gene and Kevin are there, Buff, I want to get your opinion. Let's say the Giants don't cut Jameis, but they know Jameis is on the market. I think he could be a great fit for the Steelers, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about the turnovers. I know the Steelers say we don't play turnover ball. Jameis can still be molded into a guy that doesn't turn the ball over. I'm convinced of that. Let's say they don't cut him, but they want to take offers. I'll ask you first, Buff, and we'll let people chime in like Ricky and everybody else. What are you willing to give up as a Steeler for Jameis Winston?
It's so easy nowadays. You just give up future picks, man. You could go get Jameis Winston for a bag of chips and some future picks. It's not like it's a hard move, and that's why it's so crazy, because you have guys that can go out there and help your roster right now and who want to play and who are definitely capable of putting your offense down the field. That's why it's shocking to me, is that you have opportunities to get dudes that, if you're such a good coaching team, why can't you take a Jameis and sculpt his 25 interceptions down to 15? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, do something like that. Help him with his decision making. He doesn't have to fit the ball in. Like, give him the proper coaching that he needs.
Yeah, Gene says a fifth at most. Guys, please like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. It looks like this topic is really spicing up the room a little bit. I think that, I would. I know you say future picks, but give up a little bit of your future. The Steelers keep on settling for being first-round knockouts. I don't think the Steelers are settling to be first-round knockouts in the playoffs. I think they've been building this roster hoping that Russell Wilson was going to put them over the edge. But I know Gene has this theory that he's going to New Orleans. I truly think New Orleans is going to go into a little bit of tank mode and try to get one of these quarterbacks next year in the draft. But
interesting.
The Steelers have to go out. So, okay, we could all agree this. It's Jameis, it's Cousins, it's Aaron Rodgers. One of those three will be a Steelers quarterback. Jeff says a conditional pick. Yeah, I mean, I would be a little more aggressive. Yeah, a fifth, maybe a fourth, Kevin says.
Sure.
I think, he's a placeholder. But, Gene, a quarterback could put them over the edge. Right?
Literally take them to a winning season, get them into playoffs. You could definitely win some games with that defense as long as you're healthy. Steelers are a problem, dude. They need a quarterback.
Yeah, you got to go get somebody. And all right.
That's why we paid Dak, because I would rather have Dak than nobody in betting on something. Like, I don't think he deserves $60 million, but he's a guy that can still win us 10, 12 games. You got to have somebody that's going to give you a chance, right?
They make the playoffs with Russell Wilson, but they're a 5-win team with Jameis Winston? Give me a break.
Yeah, that don't make no sense. That isn't. No. I think that's a bad take.
I think our executive producer might have just got fired for that comment.
I think he just got high. I don't know. Something.
Yeah. High or fired. But I think we can wrap it up, right?
Yeah, man.
It was an amazing show.
Happy Memorial Day, y'all.
Please appreciate all our military. We live in this amazing country. And I think we're ready to sign off, right?
Yeah, man. Looking forward to see what happens this week. We'll make sure we get a nice little coverage, give you some good takes this next week, man. And America, we'll see you soon.
I tell you what, one last thing. On Monday, we would be, let me just look at this really quick at this NBA schedule. So next Monday, it would be Game 7, if necessary.
For Knicks. Imagine this. I hope so, man. I would love to be talking about that next week, Game 7.
Oh, can you imagine? That'd be a dream. Honestly, if you were to tell me last Monday, I would be disappointed, because I've been calling this a bye week, a bye series. Obviously having a little fun with it. I knew that Indiana just blew out the Pacers, blew out the Cavs. So I knew that there was some, but I think that I'm hoping that there's a game 7 now, right? And
I
if there's
told
a
you, man,
game,
you're gonna come back to MSG. You just got to
yeah,
sit there and win another one in Indy, man.
and if there's a game 7, I'm not even gonna say I love our chances, but if there's a game 7, I will be a happy New York Knicks fan, and I know that Tibbs, that we will be prepared, and we will be able to lay it all on the line, right?
Get ready to give up a couple of your kids to go to that game, huh?
Yeah, I said I'd give up one. I'd give up all 3 for game 7.
All
You
of
know what
them
I
for
mean?
Game 7.
Yeah,
Crazy.
exactly. All right, guys. Thank you for the support. Tune in at noon for Rookies of the Year and enjoy the day with your family, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for everything, America.